Hey, it's Scott with FamilyWheels.ca with another car review for your growing family, and this week we are checking out the 10th generation Honda Accord. Now, I know that Paul has already tested out this car in Calgary and taken it through its paces. He really liked it, but the difference is that here in Vancouver, we've been given the option to try out the hybrid. Now, anytime you mention hybrid in Vancouver, people's ears kind of perk up. See, gas here in Vancouver is a lot more than in the rest of the country, so people are really interested in this model of the Accord, but is it as good as the tried, tested, and true multi-award-winning Accord that Paul tested out? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's go check it out. So Honda have played with the idea of an Accord hybrid before. They initially had one back in 2005-2006 before pulling it, and then they had one again in 2014 with the 9th generation, and now of course again here in the 10th generation, which has been completely redesigned for 2018. So what we have here is a 2-liter gas engine rated at 143 horse that combines with electric power for a total of 212 ponies. You access that power through a few different drive modes and options. Firstly, you can select between electric drive, which rolls along on 100% battery power, provided it's charged enough to do so. Hybrid drive, which uses the electric motor to power the wheels and the gas motor to generate power for the battery, or engine mode, which, as the name would suggest, uses the gas motor. Beyond this, you can also select between normal, econ, or sport modes, and depending on your choice, the dash changes color from green to red, and the car changes from mild-mannered gas sipper to full-on sports sedan. So this is one instance where the sport mode really does feel like a sport mode. And in case you hadn't guessed, this is the feature that makes the dash turn red, which not only makes the car faster, but in my opinion, also cooler. All in all, through a week of combined driving and having a bit of fun with the sport mode, we averaged right around 7 liters for 100 kilometers, which works out to 33 US miles per gallon. So pretty good, but I do think that if you were a bit more conservative, you could up that number quite a bit more. Honda says to expect around 5 liters for 100 kilometers, which is 47 US miles per gallon. So in real world, I think you'd probably be somewhere in the middle, but still, any way you slice it, this car is really fuel efficient. Okay, so let's move on to the interior. And now I'm a little bit worried that I might come across as a touch overzealous here, but I seriously love it. In a world where everybody's driving SUVs and crossovers, I found it so refreshing to get into a vehicle that is proud to identify as a car. And it feels like a car. But not only that, it feels like a car that's roomy, that's luxurious, that's incredibly practical, and is also really fun. Seriously, between this and almost any compact or mid-size crossover, I think I'm taking this. First thing that jumps out, tons of room, leg room, floor space, headroom, all of it. It just makes you feel relaxed when you get in. While we're talking about roominess, lots of great storage throughout the cockpit. Really smart cup holders and awesome spacious storage compartment under the armrest, and this really smart storage compartment with wireless charging for your phone. Plus it has these smart little rails so your phone doesn't slide all over the place, and it has a USB port for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and you can close a little door to conceal it all and just keep things looking clean. Just a really smart design. Rear car seat test, fantastic as you might expect. We measured 32.5 inches from the back of the front seat to the glove box, and in our trunk test, the Accord handled it with ease. Tons of space back here. Plus, it has a couple of extra really cool features like this organized storage in the trunk thanks to this portable air compressor and flat fix kit as opposed to an actual spare tire. And I just love these handy releases here in the trunk that let you unlatch and fold down the rear seats without going into the back seat. You can do it from right here in the trunk of the car. It's also really quiet, coming in at just 61 decibels at 100 kilometers an hour, but that's on dry roads with all-season tires. The hybrid has a push-button transmission, whatever, don't love it, but I get that that's the way cars are going right now. It's got a decent-sized sunroof, though I would have loved to see a panoramic roof. Really comfortable seats, 12-way adjustable driver's seat in both the touring and non-touring, 4-way adjustable for the passenger. All the stuff you want comes standard or is available to you. Heated seats and steering wheel, proximity key, remote start, and a heads-up display, which I don't normally like, but this one wasn't so bad because it projects onto the windshield where I'm already looking and not onto some pointless little screen which is in the way and really serves as more of a distraction than anything else. The infotainment system is really, really good too. And I mean, all of this stuff is really wonderful, but in the end, it's all just details. Like, you can get all of these things in really any other car. The point is that the interior has what you want, but come on, you could get that stuff in any car, right? What you get here is thoughtfulness. It's like someone actually drove this car and drove it a lot, and they made sure that all the stuff you use on a daily basis improves your drive instead of distracting you from it. There's lots of buttons, but they're all well laid out. The climate control has some cool ambient lighting to reflect temperature, but it's not hokey or distracting. It's just like a nice added touch. The dash illumination is large and easy to read, and everything responds to inputs instantly and fluidly. It all just makes for a really nice car to be in. Okay, infotainment system, like I was saying, it's really great. Beautifully designed, easy to use, very, very responsive, and it looks awesome, nice colors, and it's bright without being too distracting or too gaudy. There's a whole ton of information available on here. All the stuff about how power is being distributed, obviously navigation and maps, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, everything you could want really is here. It's all touchscreen, but it's nice that it has some actual buttons too. And of course, you can use the buttons on the steering wheel. You also have a ton of selectable info on the dash as well, and it's available in the heads-up display. And again, I'm really impressed with how smooth and responsive it all is. Like, all of it just feels really refined and efficient. It's definitely higher quality than you would expect from a car in this price point. On that note, the Accord Hybrid comes in two different trims. There's the Standard, which is going to run you just over $35,000, or this model, which is the Touring, comes in just under $42K. They're both really, really well appointed, but the Touring is going to have those few extra things that really set it apart as a luxury vehicle. Things like driver's seat memory. The front seats are ventilated, which is a really nice feature to have in the summer. You get a Wi-Fi hotspot and that wireless charging for your phone, which I actually think is a really, really nice feature. But if I'm being honest, for the money, the Standard is still going to feel like a really, really high-end car and have all of the awesome driving features that the Touring has as well. And that takes us to the real crux of the review here. So throughout this time, two words have come up fairly consistently, and that is refined and efficient. And those describe the Accord Hybrid so perfectly. The Accord feels like a luxury car for the everyman. It feels classy and sophisticated, but it also respects your need for value and efficiency. And when you want it to, it can really get up and go. To put it even more simply, this car is smooth. The way it accelerates, the way it handles, the way it brakes, and everything else for that matter, it's just incredibly smooth. So much so that you almost don't even realize how powerful and steady the car is. A friend of mine actually took it for a spin, and you want to guess what she remarked when she got out? Yep, this car is smooth. Okay, so what do we think? Well, when I was in high school, I had a 1988 Honda Accord. It was one of my first cars. And despite the fact that I kind of beat the crap out of it and chopped the springs to try to make it a lowrider, that car served me incredibly well. Then again, when I was in university, I got another Honda Accord. This one a little bit newer, but it had over 300,000 K and never missed a beat, never left me stranded, no problems. Then, when my wife and I got married about 10 years ago, you want to take a guess what our first car was? Yep, a Honda Accord. We loved it and we drove it forever before selling it to upgrade to something better. Now, all three of those cars had something in common. They were reliable, they were fun to drive, they were incredibly useful, and they were all really, really, really well optioned for their price. So, how does the 2018 fare? I have to say that I think if I was in the position to buy a car for my family right now, the Accord would certainly be a contender. But what about the hybrid? How does that fare against the tried, tested, and true Accord? Well, I kind of wish that it was a plug-in hybrid versus the non-plug-in hybrid. But for now, I think it's safe to say that Honda just might have done the impossible, and that's make the best even better. Until next time, for FamilyWheels.ca, I'm Scott.